top 30. That's all, as you mentioned during the pre-show. The list of the 30 coaches in the NBA, and they have them ranked. I'm going to give you an opportunity, and Nate, you can hop in here as well, to guess where Coach Mike Brown lands, and then we will try to go through the rest of the coaches above and below him. All right, who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
13.
11.
Nate, did you see this list before?
No, I swear.
13 on the nose.
I was going to guess 16 for 916 Day, but
Ooh.
13 on the nose. Huh? Yeah, well,
yeah,
this
Coach
is
Mike Brown is 13.
I think it's just an educated guess from how, sitting here listening to all these giant media entities talk about the Kings.
Yeah, I got some problems with this list for sure, guys.
I'll have to hear who's in front
I
of him.
got to hear the top 10.
Okay, well, we'll just go down from 13. By the way, this list is actually insane the more I'm looking at it. I got to go from 15, okay?
Okay.
15 is Michael Malone.
Okay. Already
What?
an invalid
Yes.
list. Already
Yes.
the most invalid list you could ever come up with.
What?
But go ahead.
Yes.
15, Michael Malone. Okay.
Yes.
Mike Malone is what I think of when I think of literally the most average NBA coach. Yeah, Mike Malone. That's
And they call that
first thing that comes to
they
my
call
head.
it
Okay.
tier 6, middle of the road.
Yeah, no, that's 15 out of 30 would be middle of the road.
18 was Jason Kidd, who just went to the finals.
Okay.
Taylor Jenkins at
So
17.
JJ Redick, top 6 NBA coach. Let's have the conversation.
Yeah, what the heck?
Quinn Snyder at 16, Michael Malone at 15 for tier 6. Then we get to tier 5, living legends. We have Greg Popovich at 14.
Okay.
We have he's by himself. In tier
Wait.
5.
Mike Brown is a living. Oh, that's a
He's by
one-person
himself.
tier.
Okay.
Tier 4. Oh, this is
One person tier.
one
Love
person
that.
tier.
That's so silly.
Tier 4. Oh, this is gonna make some people real mad. The name of tier 4, obvious floor raisers. Mike Brown at 13, Chris Finch at 12.
What is
Joe
it?
Mazzulla at 11, Tom Thibodeau at 10, Mike Budenholzer at 9, Ime Udoka at 8. Okay, we get to the next tier.
What did they mean by floor raisers?
I think they just mean
Like-
this guy. I mean, you have this guy as your coach, and you're not going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. He could bring a Pistons to 30 wins. I think.
How
is
are you
the
going to
thought.
put Missoula in there too? Okay.
All
It's
right.
it's a weird. Yeah.
Tier 3, the Wonder Kinds. And if you wanted to know what
It's not. That's fine.
Wonder
Wonderkid.
Wonderkin,
Yep.
if you're wondering what that means, a person who achieves great success when relatively young. Will Hardy for the Jazz at number 7. Mark Dagnall at number 6 with the Thunder. Tier 2, the Elites. Number 5, Ty Lue. Number 4, Steve Kerr. Number 3, Rick Carlisle. Number 2, Nick Nurse. And number 1, the undisputed king,
Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra. There you
It's
go.
just a strange list. I mean, they should have just picked one. Either do it in tiers or rank them. To me, it feels like they got lost in the middle of like, hey, we're doing our tiers and we have to make the tiers all combined, but we also are going to to me, you can, I don't know. Cause I think the tiers themselves, the groupings aren't wrong, but I think it's wrong how they ended up with the final list because I just don't think you can have some of the guys that they have outside of the top 10. I mean, there's no way you can have Joe Mazzulla. The two coaches that just brought their teams to the finals you have outside of the top 10. That just doesn't make any sense at all. Mike Malone, who's schemed up as the Denver Nuggets to be able to play the way that they did play in order to win a championship. That's just absolutely insane. I mean, if anything, I do hear that and think there is a lot of really good coaches in the NBA right now, but I don't think that necessarily would be how I display that.
For what it's worth, Jordy Fernandez, they're in the tier 9. We don't know enough. 30, JJ Redick. 29, Brian Keefe for the Wizards. 28, Charles Lee, the Hornets. Jordy Fernandez, 27.
Okay.
Darko for the Raptors. He's 26. Tier 8, I wouldn't be enthused. 25, Chauncey Billups. 24, Billy Donovan. 23, JB Bickerstaff. 22, Doc Rivers coming in at 22. Tier 17, you look promising, but it's still a tad early. 21, Kenny Atkinson. That's some love to him. He's, just I guess because of what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
And then you have 20, Willie Green. Willie Green is pretty disrespected.
Very disrespected. Incredibly disrespected.
Yeah, Willie Green for the Pelicans at 20. 19, Jamal Mosley with the Magic. That feels a little low as well. And then, where we started tier 6, middle of the road. I mean, with all that being said, it kind of feels like Mike Brown.
He gets a good shake. He gets a good shake for sure.
There's definitely a couple guys.
There's people who should be upset, and Mike Brown is not one of them.
No. No, with all that being said, after all of that, I would say, the Pop thing, we've had awkward conversations about Pop and what Pop is at this point in time and what he wants to be and what his purpose is, right? So, interesting list. I don't think that Mike Brown or any Kings fan should have any complaints. 13 out of 30 for Mike Brown, and the Kings, they just missed the playoffs. That's the bottom line. So to still be on the better than the near the top 10, not there, but near the top 10, top 13, I would take that every day of the week.
Yeah, I'm reading the prelude to the article just to kind of see if they had any explanation of their logic. And really, I mean, I will definitely give them their credit. They did mention how tough of an exercise it is. They essentially go on to say that it's a little bit tough, especially again now in the NBA, because there's been 6 champions in the past 6 seasons. So it's kind of tough to, have anybody clear and above over the rest. And then they also say another thing that makes this list a little bit hard to determine is 1/3 of active NBA coaches right now have won a championship. And I think that, and I think that just makes it hard. They say they aren't all going to rank in the top 10. And so I think it is a little bit tough. You say Doc Rivers at 22, that's really crazy. But I think it is just, again, a sign that there is a lot of really, really good coaches in the NBA right now. So much so that winning a title really doesn't necessarily put you over somewhere, which is interesting because I would love to know the explanation for how Nick Nurse ends up at number 2 then. Even if you love what he runs there, I mean, at some point you have to have a little bit of recency. I mean, you can't have Greg Popovich at what? They had 14 and then have Nick Nurse at number 2 because both of those guys are pretty much living off of the success that that Raptors championship was 2018-19 at this point. So you're talking about the last time that Nick Nurse was hyper relevant as a coach versus Greg Popovich. It's around the same time frame. So I don't quite get how one fits for one and not the other. Not a great list in my opinion.
Yeah, it interesting, but at the end of the day, at least they weren't hating on Sacramento as usual. Coming up next, back to some football, and then to round out the hour, little Giants talk. Yes, the San Francisco Giants, not New York. Please save us. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.